What would you do if your phone buzzed in the middle of the night and the voice on the voicemail was from someone you buried 3 days ago? Would you call it a glitch, a ghost, or a goodbye? This is the story of a mother who lost her daughter and then received the one message she was never supposed to hear. It had been 3 days since the accident, 3 long, hollow days, the kind where time doesn't move forward, it just stops and lingers like smoke in a locked room. Michelle sat on the edge of her bed, staring at a picture of her daughter, Emily. 13 years old, light in her eyes, that kind of light that doesn't just fill a room, it changes it. The house was too quiet now. No footsteps on the stairs, no slam of a locker, no off-key singing from the hallway, just silence, a silence so loud it screamed. On the morning of the accident, Michelle remembered the little things, the half-eaten toast, the way Emily tied her shoelaces in a rush, the smell of her favorite vanilla shampoo. It was supposed to be an ordinary day, school, homework, maybe pizza for dinner, but fate doesn't check the calendar. One red light, one distracted driver, and suddenly Michelle's world had collapsed into something dark and irreparable. The funeral was small. Family, a few friends. The pastor spoke about God's plan, but Michelle wasn't listening. Her body was there, but her soul was still on the sidewalk where they found Emily's backpack torn and bloodstained. She hadn't touched Emily's room since. The bed still unmade, a journal half-written, a phone charger still plugged into the wall, waiting. Michelle wasn't sleeping much. She couldn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw that moment, the call from the hospital, the sterile hallways, the white sheet, the hollow apology from the nurse who couldn't look her in the eye. 3 days later, on a rainy Wednesday night, Michelle sat in that same room, alone. It was 3:06 a.m. She checked. Her phone lay beside her, untouched since the funeral. No one had called. No one dared. And then, it happened. The screen lit up. Voicemail received. No missed call, no caller ID, just a single notification, one unheard message. Her heart froze. She hadn't given her number out. It was the same number Emily used to text when she'd stay late after school. Michelle reached out slowly, as if touching the phone might make it vanish. Her fingers trembled. Her throat dried. Something in her gut screamed, "Don't press play." But grief does strange things to logic, and love does even stranger things to fear. She tapped the screen. And there it was. A voice she'd buried 3 days ago. Michelle didn't move. For a moment the world stood still, as if even the air— Michelle's chest tightened instantly. It was Emily. Her voice wasn't recorded like a voicemail left years ago. No, this was fresh, raw, and impossibly clear. The way she said "Mom" was exactly how she always did. Light, teasing, just a bit rushed like she had something exciting to tell. But there was something else behind it this time. A slowness, a stillness, like someone speaking through fog. "I know you're scared, but don't be," the voice continued. "I had to go, but I'm not really gone." Michelle felt the blood drain from her face. Her hands were ice. She stared at the phone as if it had grown a pulse. The voice carried on, calm and steady, like a message meant for her and her alone. "There's so much I wish I could have said, so many things I thought we had time for, but I heard you, Mom. I heard you when you cried that night, when you said you were sorry, when you asked if I was scared." Tears welled up in Michelle's eyes. She had said those things, in the dark, in a whisper, sitting alone on the bathroom floor, whispering apologies into the void. "There's more," Emily's voice said, almost as if she were answering her mother's thoughts. "I can't stay long, but I needed you to know I wasn't alone. Someone was there with me. She held my hand." Michelle gasped. She? Her own mother had died years before. Could it be? Could this message be more than just a recording? A goodbye not sent by man or machine, but something else? Then came the last words that would stay with her for the rest of her life. You always said love never ends. You were right. I'll see you when it's time, but not yet, not yet. The message clicked off. No beep, no timestamp, no trace, just gone. Michelle sat frozen for nearly an hour, replaying the message in her mind, questioning every second of it. But when she checked her phone again, the voicemail was no longer there. No saved message, no call log, not even a temporary file. It was as if it had never happened, or as if it had only happened for her. The next morning, Michelle took the phone to a technician. She didn't say much, just that a voicemail had vanished and she needed help recovering it. The man ran diagnostics, searched logs, checked storage. Finally, he looked at her and shook his head gently. Ma'am, there was no voicemail here, at least not from the last 72 hours. No trace, no timestamp, not even in the deleted files folder. Michelle didn't argue. She simply nodded, thanked him, and walked out. But something inside her had changed. It wasn't just what she'd heard. It was how real it had felt. Not like a dream, not like wishful thinking, but something else. Something otherworldly. And yet she couldn't prove it. She had no evidence, just memory, just emotion. When she told her sister about it, she was met with silence, then tears. You heard her? Her sister finally asked. Like, really heard her? Michelle nodded. Others weren't so kind. Online forums dismissed it as grief hallucination. Some said it was a trauma response, the mind filling in gaps to comfort the heart. Skeptics called it a deep fake prank or a bugged voicemail loop. But no one could explain the specifics. No one could explain how Emily knew what Michelle had whispered alone in the dark. Things no one else had heard. Weeks passed, and Michelle went back to Emily's room for the first time. The scent of vanilla was still faint on the pillow. She sat on the bed, picked up Emily's journal, and began to read. On the last page, written in pencil, almost faint, was something Michelle hadn't noticed before. If I go first, I'll find a way to say goodbye. Michelle stared at it for a long time. Was it a coincidence, a child's playful imagination, or a promise kept? To this day, Michelle never received another voicemail, never another sign, just that one moment at 3:06 a.m. on the third day after her daughter passed. A whisper left behind. And though the world moved on, Michelle didn't look for closure anymore. She didn't chase explanations. Because somewhere deep in her soul, she knew. Not everything can be explained. Not everything is supposed to be. Some stories aren't puzzles to solve. They're gifts to feel. And in that one message, Emily gave her a piece of peace that logic could never deliver. Michelle still keeps the phone. It never rang again, but every night at exactly 3:06 a.m., she looks at the screen, just in case.